This is Cobra Commander, and here are a few current events.
And we are back. I hope y'all enjoyed that.
It was Jaron Callahan. He did so well, don't you agree?
Absolutely. He's phenomenal. Like,
Oh,
oh, you need to stop that. Okay, yes.
I
So, without further ado, we are going to bring our guest who has been so patiently waiting in, and we will allow him to tell you all about his adventures with the 1804 show and beyond. William Brown, what up?
Hey, how y'all doing?
sorry for the wait, man. Sorry for the
Oh,
wait.
it's all good, man. I learned patience, man, so it's all good.
Appreciate it.
Awesome to have you. We've been trying to make this connection for quite some time. We finally made it happen. I apologize for last week. We had a lot going on, family in town, all that good stuff, but I'm glad to have you on.
Oh, me too, me too. It's a pleasure.
Yes. So, first of all, introduce yourself to the late night hype audience and tell us exactly what it is you do and what are your endeavors.
Oh man. Well, I'm a jack of all trades, but but yeah, my name is William Brown. I'm 35 years old from Saginaw, Michigan. I'm a podcaster, historian, CEO extraordinaire. But just my future endeavors is just impacting the world, just making sure that the youth is good and that they got somebody that care about them.
And the area that you are in, Saginaw, how close is that to like Detroit? I'm not really good with my geography as I used to be.
Well, standard distance is like 2.5 hours, but it all depends on how you drive. Like if you drive crazy, then it'd be like an hour away, but pretty much,
Okay.
yeah,
And what about Flint? How far are you guys from Flint?
like 45 minutes.
Oh wow. Okay. So are you
Hmm.
guys have you guys been affected by that, or do the people from Flint come to you to Saginaw for resources, or have they been over the years when the whole water situation came about?
Well, we not technically affected, but um, I had a ex-girlfriend of mine. She stayed in Flint, and she was staying with me for a little while until her area was secure. So, but we good over here. We got our own water tower over here, so we're not really affected by it. No.
Okay. And were you aware, like when that guy, there was a black guy, it was a video that had went viral. Um, he had a water machine that he built there in Flint.
He was a retired veteran. That was his focus in the military. So he used his skill set to provide water for the people in Flint. And not a conspiracy theorist, but someone came and tampered with his equipment and damaged it. So he wouldn't be able to provide water for the people in the community. I don't know if you had heard about it.
Oh, absolutely. I heard about it, and I'm not surprised. But you know how it is. It's crazy. I ain't gonna say too
They don't
much,
want us. They
but
don't want us to win, bro.
no, never. Of course not. Of course not. Of course not.
Now you say you work with the youth in the community or particularly online. What impact do you have on the youth in your area?
Well, I'm trying to get more established because I'm pretty much in the process of revamping my business. So I have like several things that I do, like as far as like with my podcast and everything. I also do like compilation mixtapes, and I also do like history, and then I'm about to go into the true crime stuff, and then I'm also about to go into the teenagers and stuff. So I'm about
Gotcha.
to start
And when you
interviewing
say
teenagers.
historian in those fours, what do you focus on as far as history?
Well, mainly like Black history, the real Black history, not that manufactured stuff that we was taught, but actually get
Right.
into like the root of it, the whole cadence of who we are as a people and who we have done and what we have contributed to the American public, because so many people are so oblivious to the things that we have done and who we are as a people. So I feel like it's just my responsibility to provide the facts, and I do my own independent research and everything. So, because it's always a debater, so nobody can never debunk me on my subject matters. So I just always
Gotta
make
have the
sure.
receipts.
Oh, absolutely. You know how,
Hmm.
especially our people, we always trying to
Right.
debate you. Yeah. So.
They gonna come back. But what I find crazy is nowadays, even with the T shows and the movies that do involve our culture, they do little tidbits, they do little facts, they throw little snippets in there of our history. Particularly, we
Hmm.
just got well, I got her caught back up. No, we both rewatched Lovecraft Country.
Hmm.
Particularly Regina Hall, Regina King. I'm sorry, redid a series with HBO with The Watchmen. In particular, they was talking about Tulsa, Oklahoma, like little
Hmm.
stuff like that. You know what I mean? Not so much as far as mainstream, but stuff that we do get away with, it doesn't last long. They don't revamp the series or bring us back for a second series. They do like a one and done. Go ahead and shut us up real quick.
Hmm.
Particularly with the Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the Black Wall Street. Since you are a historian, can you give us a little bit of information on that for people who don't know?
Oh yeah. Um, well, Tulsa happened in May 1919 and everything because it was basically um, a young black teenager who was a bellhop at this hotel, and I guess something happened in the elevator. He accidentally bumped a young white chick, and she had totally freaked out, and then he hurried up and ran. So word got across town, and little did they know that it was some World War I veterans that just came back into town. So the whole town, which is formulating a mob, and a lot of people don't know that it was their prom night. That happened on like the night of prom. And the craziest part about it was, you have just these veterans protecting this black teenager because the town wants to lynch him for that. And just like any other excuse of any all black community that was successful, they just use that scenario so they can
I was
run
just
them
gonna
up.
say that. I was
That's
just gonna say
solid too, right?
that is always a scenario. Some black guy did something to some
Catcall or
white lady,
pussy.
or
Yeah.
and yes, because I posted a clip that I had a conversation with Michelle from BOB Rewards. All of those attacks, like those other towns that were flooded. The town that is under Lake Lanier was a very prosperous African American town. It didn't have any outside codependency on their white counterparts. They were flourishing, they were inventing, they were doing all kinds of things. There's other towns that are just like Lake Lanier that have been washed away from history, and it's always the excuse some black person did something to a white person.
One
So
black person.
yeah, and then the
Hmm.
story is never really even proven. It's just an accusation,
Hmm.
and then our whole city gets burned down. And so yeah, that, and I'm glad you said that, because I was just going to say that's always the excuse, it seems to be.
Oh, absolutely. That happened to like many cities. Colby, Florida, of course, Rosewood, Knoxville.
Hmm.
It was a town in Arkansas as well. Uh, Paris, Texas, of course, and many others. Chicago, and a whole lot of people don't know about Red Summer because a lot of us wasn't taking that, or we gonna bow down and allow you to come into our neighborhoods and victimize us. And it just kills me just how a lot of our people say that we not like our ancestors, and they don't have no clue of how tough and how thugged out our ancestors was, because a lot of them fought back. We always fought back. So
They don't
that's
talk about
why.
that.
Oh, never. Of course not. Even with the Civil War, that's a lie. That's a fabrication, because it's the Gullah Wars, and the Gullah Wars was like pretty much like almost a 200-year war that they don't discuss.
So
And
to correlate some of these stories about these black cowboys, some of that stuff has some truth to it too, right? It's run about the
oh,
same time
Yeah.
absolutely,
frame.
Black Cowboys were the original Cowboys.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. They just didn't take their pictures. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't want to take a whole lot of pictures of us, but they, you know, don't really have any type of originality to them, so they had to, take our identity. And it was just like a whole lot of whitewashing. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Mm.
Still is,
And
but the truth coming out.
because then the story of Tonto and Zorro or whoever that was really
Lone Ranger.
Lone Ranger, or one of them was
Hmm.
really the story of Bass Reeves, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And he has a
absolutely.
biopic coming out as well.
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
And also, like, we had even got into, like, it's crazy because, like you said, the whitewashing. Years ago, I had did a study on the true history of Jamestown, and I went digging into all of, when the Pilgrims came, and it was like they call it the starving times. Hey
Hmm.
Ryan, what's up? In the mixed radio in the building. Um, they basically the pilgrims that came over, they didn't know how to source the land, and so they were literally starving to death, and so they did a lot of cannibalism and stuff like that. And that, like you were telling me the other day when we were talking about Thanksgiving, the turkey on the table was really symbolic of the fact that
Cannibalism.
yeah, it was us,
Hmm.
and they were going to the graveyards and digging up the Indian bodies and eating that, and it was a lot of crazy stuff that went down during Thanksgiving, and that it's still celebrated in symbolism, but we just, we like so oblivious to the real history. We're like, oh, it's just family time, and you know, so yeah. But I still want to dig more into that with you and do an expose on that, because Yellow Pain, he brought out a lot of that in his last video when he swung the knife at the baby, and everybody was like, oh my God, he did the one for Thanksgiving. Like, nobody liked that. It was too much uh shock value in the video, and people like really got on to him about that. I think, like, you don't even really hear from him that much more after that video. A lot of people railed against him for that, but he was telling the true intentions and the motivations behind the Thanksgiving holiday. So yeah.
Particularly
Yeah.
because we was talking about other prominent towns. Like you said, we spoke about Paris, Lake Lanier. We didn't mention Harlem.
Oh, of
I'm
course, of
tired, so I
course.
got a brain fog. What's it called when they take our black communities and they tear down our buildings and they start building white neighborhoods in the area? What's
Gentrification.
gentrification? So
Hmm.
I'm from South Atlanta, so I particularly watched this happen physically over decades time, but it's currently happening right now in Harlem. Harlem has a
Hmm.
history, a particular mecca for black people throughout the 1930s and 50s and 60s that we cherish and try to hold on to, but it's currently happening right now. Do you know anything about that?
Oh, absolutely. And just like they did with Central Park, because Central Park used to be called Seneca Village, which I did
Yeah.
a episode about that. And also, just how, what happened in New York too, because there was a whole lot of um, mass murders of us in the 19th century and 20th century, because they had their own, the Indians of the Seneca and many others that was over there. They still over there to this day. You know, the same people like Flavor Flav and um, Old Dirty Bastard, them, their tribe originated in New
Hmm.
York. And also with St. Louis, Missouri, like downtown where the Arch is at, that was an all black community too. It was called Mid Creek Valley that they don't talk about. And what they did with them was made up all these false allegations saying that they was living all dirty and infested apartment buildings and stuff like that, and homes that their housing was like slums, and they came and killed a whole bunch of people there and ran them out of over there and built the arch and built the whole downtown area where these people were still living at. So it
My
happened every
thing
little bit
is like
everywhere.
they made it a habit of erasing our black history. So we made a
Hmm.
big deal about taking away their history and knocking down the Confederate monuments. So if they go back and destroy our national monuments and historical landmarks to make their standing. Like it's a pity
Back and
pat
forth,
game.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
I just don't think it's fair.
No, it's not, because it's like what people fail to realize that even like the housing projects, those was reservations too. You know, like the slave
Mhm.
quarters and stuff like that, because they only associate that with the Native Americans. But Native Americans and Aboriginal Americans is two different things. You know what I'm
So do
saying?
you think you can play the devil advocate or play both sides of the fence? Do you think it's
Hmm.
necessarily our fault? These weren't maybe not like black owned housing projects, but just particularly as well as black people when we have land and we don't invest in generational wealth and do the trust and leave it in safe hands, it usually becomes a financial issue, insurance issue, a tax issue, and we end up losing the property. And they get off on it for pennies at the dollar, and they destroy it as soon as they get it. I don't know, like I
Oh,
said, if it's our fault per se, but go ahead and speak on that.
I won't say 100% that it was our fault, but I do feel like fear played a huge part, because it didn't really matter how much wealth that you accumulated. Like if they didn't want you to have certain things, all they had to do was, you know, get you caught up in a, what I'm saying, in a crime, or they would even come and kill
Hmm.
you and stuff like that. That's with Anthony
Or just
Crawford.
burn it down.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Because the story with
Donald
Anthony
Donald
Crawford.
Trump's father in New York. Donald
Yeah.
Trump dad just paved the way straight down New York.
Yeah, because they
Yeah,
changed the
like
rules.
again, yeah,
Hmm.
and again, it goes back to just a simple accusation. They could
Hmm.
accuse your son or daughter. Like if you look at the old pictures of the hangings and the lynchings, those were not poor black people. They were well dressed, well to do, middle to upper class black people who had property, and somebody simply wanted it, and they would just go kill them and hang them and take the property, and they were all in collusion with the officials of the town, and they would all get together, and that's what they would do. It's a big thing in Columbus, Georgia, with Synovus Bank. It's an
Hmm.
atrocity of what they did to the farmers, and that's it's just, they found the blueprint on how to do it, and they did it all across the nation. And that's a lot of how, a lot of the Caucasian families secured their generational wealth. They would just simply take it from, other people.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was terrorism, regardless of what people
Absolutely.
want to say or try to narrate it down to like something more less harsh, but it was nothing but complete terrorism. And
So that's a
Absolutely.
None
better
of
way of putting it. Like I said, it's not necessarily our fault because maybe we had a lack of knowledge, but we definitely fear was instilled in them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and also they just put us in these schools because right during the Reconstruction period, a lot of freedom schools was established
Hmm.
to teach us English, teach us how to read and write. So you never know what they was teaching us in those schools as
Right.
well. So, but yeah, it's just fear played a part, literacy played a part because you just you don't know what is being presented to you when you know what you know what I'm saying, you've been hands on, and these was like people in their 70s and 80s, the slaves, what I'm saying, when they got
Right.
Yeah.
freed and stuff like that. So we always have to take to account that a lot of us really didn't know what we was doing, but they already had the rules because even though they had to give up the slaves, they turned around and made the black codes and pretty
Mm-hmm.
much remixed slavery. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Like
Like,
we talk about in our book in the pink collar industry, that was just a branch of that
mhm,
spinoff. They made it so they can still capitalize in their businesses while getting damn near free, if not free labor.
Hmm.
mhm. Yeah.
Another thing that's happening right in front of our eyes, like we said, we spoke about gentrification, modern day segregation in the school system.
I'm for I'm honestly like that. Forgive me, but I'm for segregation.
Yeah, me too.
I'm absolutely for segregation if that's what they want.
But
You
between
know.
the three of us, I would say maybe it's like a 10-year gap. So I'm sure it happened in your town, and in mine. That would change every other year. That would change the zoning
Yep.
and build a new school
Hmm.
for the other
Mhm.
kids, and then basically segregate us.
Yeah.
It would
Yeah,
depopulate or populate the other schools with majority black or majority in favor of the other schools,
And there was
and
nothing
those schools would get those fundings
right. I was
and
gonna say there's
yeah.
nothing wrong with that except for they wouldn't continue to give us the resources that were
Mhm.
needed. But I do want to break away from, the history a little bit, but still in history, but more particularly to your show. I
hmm,
remember not too long ago you had two oh, I did something. You had Tupac's brother on your show. Tell us
yeah.
about that. Tell us about how that experience was, and like could you feel like a connection with him and his brother, or was it kind of just like how? Just tell us about that experience.
Oh yes, it was really freaky, like because a lot of times he sounded just like Tupac, so it was just kind of
Oh
like,
wow,
man, this is amazing. But it was crazy because he had just broken silence last year, and he was going around and just telling people about who he was and mainly about their father because their father was practically always being slandered from the Dear Mama song, the Papa song, and he wanted to just clear the air and stuff like that. So I was
So you
just
mean their
like,
biological dad, not their stepdad?
yeah, the biological dad,
Okay.
by the name of Billy Garland. So Billy Garland Jr. Appeared on this one guy's podcast. So I was just really intrigued because I knew that he was the real deal. So just so happened, like I really wanted to talk to him myself, and I was just stalking like every video that was being uploaded, and I waited, and I waited to get his contact information. So it was like the day of the last video. He said where his Instagram was, so I hit him up and I sent them some of my videos that I already had on Tupac and everything. And he saw that I was genuine. And he was like, yes, man, I'll sit down with you. Let's do it. And
amazing,
everybody everybody thought I was lying and stuff like that. Because again, nobody really knew his father's side of the family. So
Right.
when that day happened, it was so like uh, highly anticipated, and it was great. We spoke for like almost 2 hours, and he's really down to earth, cool. He also raps too and everything, but it was an amazing experience.
So what did you learn from him? Like, do you understand more of why Tupac's father was the way he was? Was he just like was he you said he was slandered? Did he have a lot of pressure on him? Because Tupac was kind of I don't want to say an industry plant, but he had been looked at since he was in his early teens and auditions and things of that nature. I think they probably thought that he was amazingly talented, and once he seen what he was up against in the industry, he started seeing things that weren't right, and he started speaking out about it. And they were like, "Okay, we can't control him, so we got to snuff him out or whatever." But Tupac has been in the industry for a long time, and so it wasn't always about his father, but some of his music was expressing his frustration. So his father, what was his father, the quote unquote bad guy or absent father, or no?
From my knowledge, his
No,
father was absent long before that. Correct.
well, from what Billy Jr. told me was like Tupac when he was like 3 and 4, 5 years old, he would actually come over on the weekends and stuff like that. So it was just like after Afeni was acquitted, like just because you get acquitted doesn't mean you're free or they leave you alone, let you live out your life and everything. Like they come
Hmm.
and put the pressure on you and stuff like that. So it was just like a whole bunch of not just Afeni but the Panthers um, was just pretty much being harassed. Um, they couldn't find employment. They couldn't find housing. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of them ended up homeless. So he was bouncing from place to place, and he didn't get to see them because it was no stable or known address. So it was like he lost out of reach with them until he got famous. But I can relate, I can understand that because I came from a troubled upbringing myself, and my dad told me a lot of things I didn't really care to know because I was 31 years old at the time. So it was like, okay, why this matter now? But thank you
Too
for
little,
telling
too late.
me, type thing.
Right.
Yeah. So he was unaware of where he went. He didn't know that they went to Baltimore and then they went to Cali. So he didn't know that his son actually was alive until they saw Juice. But this whole time he thought he was mad at him, and he thought that he couldn't get no relationship with him until he took it upon himself after he got shot the first time. He was like, "No, I didn't never said that I didn't want no relationship with you, or that wasn't true." And he embraced him after that. So yeah, it was nice though. Nice to know that.
And that's amazing. I do like that. And so if somebody wanted to go check out that podcast, tell our listening audience how they can check out your podcast show.
Well, I'm on YouTube. You can look me up, the 1804 Show, Chapter 2. And I'm on Facebook. You could just look me up by the name of William Brown. And my business page is the same as my show name and everything like that. So,
Could you speak on your podcast journey as it's brought you thus far? Because it's a lot of work in this industry, man. It's a lot of hard work and late hours in this game. Can you speak on that?
oh my gosh. Well, it taught me my limitations because so many
Mm.
people, like when you first come out into the public, they want to swamp you. They want to just like come at you at an avalanche and stuff like that. As much as you want to try to get as many guests as you can, it can be very overwhelming. It can be draining because you're absorbing all those different energies and stuff. So it just really taught me about balance and taught me about just hard work and stuff like that. Because I used to always try to be Mr. Critique everybody's platform or everybody's material content. But now, just now do things behind the scenes and do things by myself, and it just really gave me a whole new found respect for anyone that's in this field.
is there any tips or advice you can give any inspiring uh, podcasters out there currently right now, particularly maybe with monetization or AdSense or any other sponsorships that people um, maybe want to gather some information about coming into the game?
I would say just be as very authentic as possible because you never know who's
Hmm.
watching you. And even though that you trying to receive the love from your hometown isn't your final destination. So you should always have to be open minded to everybody who watch you and just really just form your own identity and stuff because people know fake, you know what I'm saying? Real recognize real. So just be real as possible, be patient. And then as far as the sponsors, I would just start locally first, then work my way up.
Great advice.
Hmm.
Awesome. What other great or famous people? You've had a lot of people on your show. You've been, like I said, you've been so consistent. It's definitely inspiring. What other or what shows stood out to you? What are some of your favorite shows that you've done?
Oh man, I would say just talking to Mr. Keith Beauchamp. He was the host of the Injustice Files on Investigation Discovery. And he also wrote and produced the film Emmett Till, Till that just came out last year.
Hmm.
Um, it's crazy because I tell everyone that manifestation is real. Because I used to watch this show 10 years ago, and then 10 years later, this man knows who I am, and just the fact
Wow,
that
yeah.
because he was supposed to come to my house and we did the show, but the studio wanted him to go somewhere to promote the movie and stuff. But this man from his hotel room was like, "Hey, we could do the episode right now if you like," and stuff like that. So that meant a lot to me, just like one of my heroes, because he also is a civil rights filmmaker. He used to solve murders and stuff like that. So just the fact just to have somebody um, that established and stuff like that, and did Emmett Till mom's last interview, just to take the time out to do my show with me. That meant a lot to me. um, Urban Mystic, R&B singer,
Okay.
one of my favorite singers and stuff like that. And I was really just overwhelmed like with that one because if you go back and watch it, I'm gonna have to send you that to you, Lashawn. But when you see when you watch it, right, like that reaction was so real because this whole time I thought I was talking to somebody fake. That he had popped into the camera. I was acting like such a groupie, but I had to keep my composure.
Fanboy.
But that was
He's a
cool
great
though.
live
But
performer, by the way, too.
oh, absolutely, absolutely, one of the greatest right now. Then I had South Star from the group Smiles and South Star. They had that hit song "Tell Me" 20 years ago. So just to talk to him and just talk to just many others, and because I treat everybody as a star. You know, I don't just count just like the celebrities as celebrities. I treat just any and everybody as a star because it takes a real gift to be able to make people feel comfortable and to talk to and just also allow them to trust you with their testimonies and stuff because it takes a lot to sit in front of a camera and tell your deep darkest secrets and stuff like that to strangers. So
Right.
well, other than that, I just had a blast. It's been a great experience for
Like you said, it could be overwhelming at times. Like if
me.
I can do this full time instead of my 9 to 5, I would do this all day, especially if it's something that you love, especially if you're talking
Yeah.
about topics that you indulge in and live by. Like sharing, like you said, deepest, darkest secrets or history or, just person giving their testimony. That's someone's story. You know what I mean? So people, of course, take it personally and people receive the feedback. So how do you manage to deal with, prioritizing your time or optimizing your time in this particular career field?
Oh man, just making sure that like, because I make sure I try to do 5 a week. So what I do
Okay.
is because mainly I work on first shift. Some days I work middays, but I would just always try to
You
knock them out.
rotating shifts?
Yes.
Wow.
It's amazing because now I'm at like 571. So it was crazy because I would just knocking them out, just making sure that
Mhm.
I did a lot by
Consistency.
myself. Yeah, thank you, man. And just making sure that like, because when I first did the show, like my first episode, man, they clowned me, they teased me and stuff like
Who
that.
is
And
they?
man, my audience, well, they my audience now, but I didn't just really like make an announcement. I just did like the first episode just to test my skills and try to get a little flavor, going. So
Mhm.
they,
Like you say, you
came at
critique
me.
yourself. I'm a big critic of myself. I can hear every mistake and enunciation that I do wrong. I'm really big. I'm really hard on myself.
Oh, me too, man, because I'm a perfectionist. So it just really bothers me when I go back and re-add some of the material, and I'll be like, man, like, why did I have to say it like that? Why did I pronounce it like that? So, but I try to tell myself that, look, I'm human and stuff like that. So it just was one of those things that I had to learn how to deal with, and just really getting used to my own voice, because everybody like, man, you have such a very powerful, unique voice, and I sound like a dork to me because I just has this thing like, but I just rock with it, what I'm saying? If they like it, I love it, but just with
Girl.
the time consistency is just knowing what you want to talk about, and because I would just like make the thumbnails first for my YouTube channel. I would just make the thumbnails, and then like whenever like I had like a writer's block, or whenever I had like a show block, then I would just go back to my old thumbnails that I made, and then just like refill that spot. Because if I was interviewing somebody that night and they stood me up, I would always go back to that old thumbnail as a plan B, and then just do it
Right.
freelance because the show must go on. You know what I'm saying?
Was it was it scripting or like doing the bullet points? Was that hard for you in the beginning? I'm pretty sure you got the hang of it by now.
Oh man, I do everything from the top of my head now. I
Yeah. I was
always been
like,
like that.
for
I always been like that because I don't want people to think that it's all generic. And also, I just want people to
Hmm.
understand is like the more that you convey it on top of it, but whatever works for you. But my method is like it's real, like it's raw and uncut. And then I'm very
Organic,
yeah.
right?
graphic, yeah, and I'm very graphic with mine because I'm so passionate and just really want to just talk to our people about just how serious it is, because they don't know how many people die for us to have these opportunities. So I just
That's
really
right.
want to,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm just so grateful to have you in my circle because I look at your posts, I look at your consistency. You're funny as hell. You crack me up. We go back and forth with the goofy stuff. So I'm
Yeah.
always appreciative of the occasional laugh here and there. Um, something you posted today just had me in tears. You always posted something great.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
it was the it was the baby in the bassinet. The mama sitting the baby
Oh, the Prince of
down the
Egypt.
street.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. So sense of humor is definitely on point. Just
Yeah.
amazing. We've been friends for I want to say a little over a year. So it's just been an amazing connection and watching. Now I think I remember seeing you transition from the 1804 show to the 1804 chapter 2. What made you
Hmm.
transition? Let me give a shout out to Aunt Belinda who checked in with us as well.
Hey,
Hey.
auntie.
Well, that started with my old Facebook page being hacked,
Ah.
and
Mm, every
and
time.
oh my gosh, man, I was so mad because on that first show, I was over like 300 episodes, right? So I just
Mm,
started. So I started to like panic because I was like, man, this hacker making me look bad right now because he's using my pictures, using my image, my face, and stuff like that. And people don't know, and even if they do know, you got haters and stuff like that. You got people who don't like you. So since they don't like you, they're going to start a smear campaign on you and stuff like that. They try to
hmm.
ruin your name and image and stuff like that.
Brand.
But
Hmm.
yeah,
So
and
do you think it was somebody you know?
I have no idea to this day.
Oh, wow.
But I was grateful because it
An ex girlfriend
really
in Flint.
probably sure I have so many enemies, I can't please everybody, but
Right.
but what I was saying was like I was really discouraged because I can't even get those videos back and stuff like that I
Oh,
did. But it just really like challenged me because you either swim or you sink. So I had swim.
well, wait a minute though. You said now it does the page still exist?
No, no, the Facebook took it down because so many people was reporting it, so they had
Reporting
took it
it.
down.
Oh man. Okay,
But I
I
can't
was
even get
gonna
those
say because
videos back.
if the page was still there, I could show you how to get the videos. But if they took the page down, then dang.
So you did a
Yeah,
whole rebranding process.
yup. I just wanted to
Started from
just
scratch.
get absolutely. I started from episode one, from of episode 300 of the old show. I started back from one, and now I'm
Wow.
at 571. So,
Love it.
but
Love
it
it.
was, but it was good though, because it really gave me such humility, because you just never know what can happen, and this is why
Hmm.
you always have to make sure that you're not in it for the wrong reasons. You in it for the right reasons. Because I always look at, even though I'm doing like podcasting, I look at it as activism. It's my therapy because I have went through so much, just losing people that was close to me, and it just gives me a way to cope with that. And that's why I work like a
Therapy.
madman, because I have so much pain that's in my heart and stuff like that. Just losing both my brother, losing my dad, losing both my last remaining grandparents, cousins. I lost an aunt. I lost friends, a little bit of everybody. I've been to like
And this was
11
all in the
funerals in five
span of
years.
what, like 1 year?
5 years.
5 years.
Uh-huh. So it was a lot, because I'm young, I'm saying. Well, I was young when I first started on that quest. I was 27 when all this was happening, and it just really stopped this year. So it was just like a continuation of all of that. So I just wanted to be able to teach and tell everybody about like mental health and depression, because they don't think we go through anything as black men. Like
Hmm.
they just think that we just don't have any emotions, we don't have any feelings, we don't have nightmares, that we don't want to be held and stuff like that. Because I have PTSD from losing my brother and stuff, because he looked just like me. I'm just a younger and taller version of him, but we have literally the same face. It's like freaked me out just seeing him in
Irish
that
twins is
casket.
what they call it.
Hmm. Yeah, and he was like my dad to me because we was 13 years apart. So it really affected me so much because I felt it, and it was like Mortal Kombat when Shang Tsung take someone's soul, and I felt like someone took my
Hmm.
soul. And when that happens to you, and people who haven't experienced that, they gonna look at you like, why can't you go back to normal? And like, normal, like, what is you talking about? Ain't no normal. I don't have my brother
Right.
no more, and I'm by myself, really, because in the movies and the TV shows, they make it seem like families come together from all of that, but it doesn't happen like that.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? It's all
right.
because the writers wrote that into the script, but
Trying to get a happy
reality,
ending.
hmm in reality, people choose a side, people choose a tribe, and if that happens to you, then you will have to know what to do. You will have to know what not to do because it's easy to lose yourself. And I lost a lot of myself throughout those difficult years because I was the strong one. I was the strong friend. I was the strong son. I
Hmm.
was the strong brother. But when I needed someone to be strong for me, nobody really wanted to come to my aid. So
Hmm.
I was
That's
I was
usually
just
how it always is.
always it's lonely when you're strong, man, but it's a blessing because you literally find out why you was chosen to go through that type of stuff. And I realized that I had a plan or I had a gift from God to be able to report what I witnessed. And just me by being vulnerable got me to where I need to go and where I needed to be. And just meeting people from all over because I don't have any of my old friends from when I first started
Wow.
on that journey. But I'm
Man,
getting new friends, I'm getting fans, I'm getting subscribers, I'm getting followers, I'm getting just newfound respect from people who
bro,
didn't
where were
know.
you in 2020, man? We have like almost like the similar stories, but like I said, even with the PTSD and losing people,
Hmm.
and like I said, even over the same 5 year span, but it didn't hit hard for me. But particularly because I'm a retired veteran, right?
Hmm.
Going back and forth overseas and dealing with losing people all at the same time. It wasn't until we all sat down that I was like, I know I'm not the only black man that's feeling the way I'm feeling right now, dealing with the depression, and watching the world stop. Like it's other soldiers who had been back and forth overseas time and time again, who had never spent time with their family or their spouse for
Hmm.
that long period of time. And I was like, just particularly dealing with the military, to be real and transparent, people are dealing with domestic stuff from sitting at home because they're used to going to war. They've never had to fight that war at home, or they never actually had to be in the house alone with their thoughts and not being able to grieve for
Hmm.
6 months at a time. Like that was a big, heavy moment in the world. And I was like, I can't be the only one feeling like that.
I
It
think a
just
whole
wasn't a
lot of us
platform,
are.
a way to advocate those type of feelings.
Of course not. And people make fun of our mental health, man. And I don't think that's funny at all. I just think, like, when it comes to our mental health, because we've been so used
Hmm.
to being beat on and being ridiculed, and it just
Taking the
became
trauma.
like, yeah, it just became like a everyday thing. Like, okay, well, you still gotta pay your bills, or you still gotta do this, you still gotta do that. But yet, like, you wounded. You know what I'm saying? You feel defeated.
Hmm.
And the most depressing people that I know always happy because this is all
Hmm.
they
Or
know. It's a
seem that
mask.
way.
That's and like I said, that's when it hit for me as well. Cause like that period of time, like I said, in 2020, like they don't teach us about that kind of stuff in school. They teach us math, history, all this stuff. They don't teach us
Coping
really
skills and
and really about financing as an adult and particularly how to grieve. But then it hit me. I was like, they want us to deal with all that, but ain't no way as a just a regular hourly wage or minimum wage. We supposed to be able to pay insurance, life insurance, dental insurance. That it's set up for us to fail. Some people have
Hmm.
different advantages, but that's not the regular for Black people. But they want us to do all that and deal with grief and deal with all the trauma and still be able to maintain and not act out like they say Black people do. That was just
Hmm.
real. Like I said, that period of time was real heavy on my heart.
Oh, I can imagine, man, because like I became an alcoholic. Like I was just like drinking heavily and just trying to be numb because it just got
Hmm.
to a point that like I almost had lost my job because I was just smelling like alcohol and I was belligerent. I was just not speaking to everybody, but it was just like I'm working at the same
It's a coping
hospital.
mechanism.
Yeah, and I was working at the same hospital that my brother's body was at for 3 days.
oh wow.
So I was it was challenging, you know, and I just tell everyone like you just never know what people going through, man. And And just because like you don't understand a person, that don't make them crazy. That make them hurt. That make them wounded. Like, and us as men, like we're not taught how to be like expressive, because we're taught to just be physical, but to be like emotional, to have the emotional intelligence, shall I say,
So I
like
got to
really start
ask, were
talking
you
about
doing podcasts back then, or is that something that you found a niche for over time?
it.
And like you say, you use it as therapy these days.
Well, I'm going into like my third year of it, January 2nd, but it was like a lot of things that made me want to do this. It was the birth of my first nephew, and it was crazy because my sister always had two girls. So it was like I was so used to them. And then when he came, it was just like, hey, like it's a boy. So I
Hmm.
felt like I could just mold him, So one day, I was like, oh yeah, I gotta be here. I ain't tripping no more. And then the birth of my godson too, later that year, and my god brother, he was already doing his clothing line stuff, and he's already established locally here, and he had invested into my first equipment and stuff like that, and just really believed in me, really gave me the pep talk and just told me like this is your calling. You have a lot to talk about. You've been through a whole lot, so of course you gonna be legitimate. And I was just telling him, man, nobody gonna listen to me. And he was like, now you gotta do it because I just put money into you. You gotta do it now.
Got
So
to.
that's when I was
Can't lose.
like, yeah, it's just like when you have somebody that believe in you and stuff, it just activate like your spirit, like it ignites your fire.
Hmm.
And I just came back to that person that I um was lost at once upon a time ago, basically. But ever since then, I've been on, man. I've been going crazy, so, but in a good
So
way.
that's all it took. Put a battery in your back. That's all it took. That one person.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break. We have one more presentation. We got some current events to go over before we get to the last part of the show and close everything out. But I hope you guys enjoy this. We have some current events from the Black Cobra Commander. One second, y'all. I hope that y'all enjoyed that because I thought it was hilarious. Shout out to Corey for checking in with us right at 11:11. But I'm sorry, y'all. I thought
Come back. Listen, this is why I don't drink on air. Listen, what's his name? Give us his social so they can turn him up. Because I'm gonna support my black people.
yeah.
But why does he look like Blank Man?
that
Who is that?
That was Darwin the Immortal. You can find him on Instagram, Darwin the Immortal. He is absolutely hilarious. That is one of his comedy routines. That's the Black Cobra Commander that he does. So he does our entertainment news for.
He's hired. We can't.
I really hope y'all enjoy that. I just thought that was hilarious. Not Autobot Lives Matter. That was insane.
Who's gay? Why did he have?
I think they did have a.
He had Brokeback Mountain. Where did he get that vest from? That's a custom made piece.
I have no idea, but he does that. And he does some comedy routines with pianos. I tried to get him to do musical movie reviews, but he wanted to do he wanted to do the current event. So we might be able to get him to do some music reviews later on. But I hope y'all enjoyed that. Now you guys know when we do the in-person interviews, it'll be more like a TV show. So the podcast is, of course, set up a little bit different, and we're working on an interface. So bear with us, and everything will get back on track. Now, can I ask you, what interface do you use, William, for your podcast?
Well, I'm kind of ghetto fabulous right now, so I just use my phone. I really like y'all setup.
I mean, we gotta use what we got, but the fact that
Absolutely.
you use your phone and done 500 episodes is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you, because I just work smarter. I don't work hard, and I just want to just advise people is whether you have an iPhone, because I have an iPhone, so the iPhone is the best way to do content because it's practically like right there, like the editing and stuff like that. It's all there, so you will love it. I just always tell people who wants to do YouTube
Clips,
channels and stuff
movies,
like that.
GarageBand.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yes. It's so many apps, and they will actually show you how to do stuff too. So, and that's what I did. So now my videos look more potent and more professional now because the old ones
Okay,
was
because
just
you pre-record, right?
hmm
Okay, that's actually sometimes the best way to do it. Yeah. But the reason why I don't mind going live is because with certain platforms like what we're using, it kind of puts it out there. Then if you want to edit it, you can pull it down. But then it runs the risk of what am I trying to say?
They said they didn't see.
Oh, did y'all not see the shared screen? Or
Will, did you see it?
Mm-mm.
no, y'all just saw us
Y'all just
laugh.
said no. Y'all didn't say nothing.
No, I didn't. I thought y'all could see it. I didn't know.
Yeah, I tried to share the screen. So y'all
Smoking.
It's all
oh man.
good. Yeah, y'all could
I
probably.
thought we shared the screen. So it didn't
Oh,
show up?
Bring it back.
Okay, hold on.
yeah.
Let me try it again. Let me go to the live on a different platform. So y'all were just laughing at us laughing, basically. Oh my God.
Did they see the intro? Did they see JC?
Hmm?
See, look, Will, we learning as we go.
Yeah,
Hold on,
yeah.
let me
That's
see.
I don't.
Okay, let me try to run it back. Let's see. Oh, I didn't share to the,
They ain't seen nothing.
they didn't see nothing. Okay, let me try it again. Okay, let's show y'all the entertainment news again.
Play that last. Run Black Cobra Kai back.
Okay, here we go. Okay, 1 second. Sorry. Thanks, Auntie. Let's see. Share. Oh, when it appear over here, I was supposed to put it over there.
They ain't seen nothing but smoke.
It's all good. It's all good.
I'll be redoing Snoop Dogg video.
This is Cobra Commander, and here are a few current events. There's something in this mask. So, one lost evidence turns up in James Brown's mystery. That's right, the late great godfather of soul, James Brown, died in 2006, but he has yet to rest in peace. And children and advisors of Augusta's favorite son spent years fighting over his colossal fortune. Even a daughter claimed his crypt was empty, and yet a court ruled that the fourth wife was not really his wife. What could have happened? And then a dozen other people who knew the Godfather of Soul said and called for an autopsy for a criminal investigation of his death.
I can see yes, though.
In entertainment news, Jada Pinkett Smith, the well-known actress, has a new book out called Worthy. And she talks about stuff and other things that some of us don't care about. But then here's the real question. You know, as she talks about how she didn't really want to be with her husband, Will Smith, and all of these things. But the real question is, who gives a shit? Oh, and another thing. And if you look on Amazon, you just hear her book, and at the bottom it says, people who bought this also bought big bags of shit. I didn't even know that they even sold big bags of shit. And in a little bit of sports news, what UCLA's coach Chip Kelly said about Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes. Colorado Buffaloes are coming off of a bye week and face a pivotal matchup with the number 23 UCLA Bruins. Coach Chip Kelly has a lot in common with Deion Sanders. You know, the pair of Pac-12 coaches were analysts in the network television world at different points in their respective careers, and they'll face each other for the first time on Saturday and have a lot of respect for one another. Here's what Chip Kelly said about Sanders. Says they're outstanding. I think that in the offensive side of the ball, you know, Edwards at running back, and then the trio of receivers with Weaver, Horn, and Hunter, they all can really, really run. They can all really, really go. That's just a little bit for the news. And so this news segment from Cobra Commander was also brought to you by a sponsor, and that is, if you can see this, the sponsor, Autobot Lives Matter, because even Autobots have lives too. And there's even a gay Autobot, but no one's talking about it because they feel that Autobot lives don't matter. But I'm here to tell you that Autobot lives do matter. That's my time for tonight. Thank you.
You know we gotta start this. Yo, what's going on? It's your man JC, keeping it real on the 2 minute drill. And you know I got you covered on everything that's going down during the week in women's sports. Now, you know we gotta start this off right with the WNBA. The Las Vegas Aces, man, they just went back to back, defeating the New York Liberty 3-1 in the finals this past week. Two-time league MVP Asia Wilson, she averaged a double-double throughout the entire series. And not to mention, they got two all-star guards on that Las Vegas Aces team, Kelsey Plum and Jackie Young, playing out of their mind. Now, the New York Liberty, they had some firepower of their own now, coming from league MVP Brianna Stewart. Now, she averaged a double-double herself, but that's pretty much all New York got from their stars throughout the series. Yeah, it was a rough shooting series for all-star guard Sabrina Ionescu. I mean, she only averaged 9 points on 31% shooting from the field. That wasn't going to cut it against the Aces. And going back to the Las Vegas Aces, I mean, when you got Asia Wilson down low doing her job, and then you throw in two all-star guards, Kelsey Plum and Jackie Young, who averaged both over 18 points during the series, that's a recipe for a championship. New York simply just didn't have an hopes to compete in Grand Slam events in the summer of 2024, as she has no intentions of calling it a career just yet. Yeah, we got some news in college sports too. We didn't forget about the colleges. So on Saturday night, the number 2 Nebraska Cornhuskers beat the number 1 Wisconsin Badgers in what was the most watched volleyball game in network history. It was a back and forth 5-set match between the two teams, and with that win, the Nebraska Cornhuskers are now the number 1 team in the country. Back in March, the University of South Carolina Gamecocks women's basketball team lost to the Iowa Hawkeyes in the Final Four of the NCAA tournament. Coming into this season, the Gamecocks are ranked number 1, which is not out of the ordinary. Now, this Gamecocks team has a new identity. Aaliyah Boston, the former Gamecock, she was drafted number 1 last year in the WNBA draft, and that's a big hole to fill. On top of that, head coach Don Staley has 5 new freshmen coming in that she expects to be able to play some minutes. This is a new look for Don Staley in the South Carolina Gamecocks women's basketball program. Tasha Butts, the head coach of Georgetown University's women's basketball team, lost her fight with breast cancer Monday morning. Georgetown hired Butts, a former WNBA player, back in April. Prior to heading to Georgetown, she previously coached at Georgia Tech, being promoted to the associate head coach in 2021. In late September, Butts announced that she was taking time away from Georgetown to focus on her health. She was replaced by associate head coach Darnell Haney, who will now serve as the interim coach when the season begins next month. The passing of Tasha Butts has been a devastating loss to the Georgetown program. She was only 41. As we wind down this edition of the 2-minute drill, I think it's important that we acknowledge Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I see a lot of people wearing pink. I love that. I love the support. To all of the survivors out there, to all of the survivors, I appreciate your strength, and I wish you well going forward. From the 2-minute drill, it's your man JC, Jaron Cottingham, signing off. I got you covered on everything that goes on in the world of sports when it comes to the women's side. Peace.
And we are back. Thank y'all so much. And thanks, Auntie, for letting us know we have been technically impaired. Close the wrong window. So we are back, y'all. So thank y'all so much.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good.
And I was just going to say that's the danger of going live. Stuff like that versus doing it pre-recorded.
If you had an iPhone, don't tell her with.
I'll never get an iPhone. I'm team Android for life. But we of course, we just want to thank you so much for coming on. It's been a long time coming. I'm so happy and I'm so proud of you for doing what you're doing for pretty much, I mean, the youth all around the country, because your show, anytime you put something on the internet, that means it's a global show. So people
Right.
all around the world, young and old, are able to see our history as you are teaching it. And a lot of things people don't know, and you're one of the warriors, the soldiers, to bring those histories, whether it be an atrocity or hidden fact or just something that's not well known, to the forefront. The fact that you have people that, no matter how long, or they just see your passion and they're like, sure, man, I'll come on, I'll be a guest. That says a lot about your personality and how people relate to you as a prominent person in our culture. And so you
Mhm.
are a walking, talking piece of history because of everything you're doing. You're paving the way, and we thank you for that.
No problem. And us as black people, man, we gotta stick together because the
Yeah.
internet got us looking like we can't get along, like we can't coexist,
Mm.
and we better than that. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
it's an
Hitting people with
agenda.
chairs and stuff.
Yeah.